Tom Allen, the former Indiana head coach, not his brother, Tim Allen, was on the TV show called Home Improvement. Just joking. But Tom Allen, the former Indiana head coach, is the next DC at Penn State, replacing Manny Diaz, who's now the head coach of Duke. Joe, very quickly, this is what Penn State did defensively last year. You ready? Number 1 in total defense, number 3 in passing defense, number 1 in rushing defense. Only 69 yards allowed in rushing last year. Rushing yards allowed. Scoring defense, they were 10th, on third downs. Joe, they were number 1 in the country in sacks at 48. Red zone defense, though, is where they were abysmal. They were tied for 111th. I don't know if I like this hire at all. I knew what I'd get in Manny Diaz from a recruiter. I knew what I get from Manny Diaz as a play caller. Look, there's not a lot more you can do when the guy that's leaving you literally was the number 1 total defense in the country, right? You can't get any better than what they did. I don't know if this isn't a massive downgrade. Now, I don't know if there was a DC out there to Manny Diaz's
you know who?
Caliber, Jim Leonard.
He's still not hired.
Well, see, let me ask you something I'll ask you about that later, but something's got to be up with that. If nobody's hiring him, something's off with that.
I mean, the only thing that would make sense is he must be a dickhead, but I don't think that that's true. I'm obviously joking when I say that. That's the only thing that would make sense, that people don't like him personality-wise, but that makes no sense to me. I had Keanu Benton on my draft show last year, and he spoke incredibly highly of Jim Leonard, so clearly a highly liked guy. I don't know what it is. I don't know. Maybe there's some skepticism there.
I don't know, but downgrade. Now, what's not a downgrade is you have a guy that has experience in the Big Ten who can call defenses, right?
Does he really though? Because okay, I don't know if you have his background pulled up, but he's got 1 year of being a defensive coordinator at Indiana before he took the Indiana job. And then he was a linebacker special teams coach at Ole Miss. And then he was an assistant head coach at Arkansas State and a DC at Drake. He's got a couple of years of experience calling defenses as a defensive coordinator. That's why I agree with you. I think this is a terrible move. He's got this is a huge step down from what you just had in Manny Diaz.
It's a step down. I don't know how they can get any better. I just think it's a bad fit. Yeah. Right? Continuing to prove to me that why I don't, I trusted James Franklin a lot this year. I actually try to put bias aside and tried to trust in James Franklin. I'm not doing it anymore. I'm legit. Are they going to win 10 games a year? Maybe not now, because you have some of these bigger name teams coming into the Big Ten. Maybe not now. But what I will tell you is that this does not move any needles for me. Remember, now, I will tell you, he did recruit some pretty good players at Indiana that wound up leaving. All right. Michael Penix over the last couple of years being the biggest, right? He can identify talent. I think he knows how things are made. And it's always good from an experience level to have really just an experienced guy. He's been around football for a long time. So yeah, maybe he doesn't go out there and recruit at a high level, but you can't get better than what you had in Manny Diaz. I'm sorry. You're not going to. This is a downgrade.
Yeah, it's difficult to try and replace Manny Diaz, but it's not like they were in the situation where they were late to find a replacement and that all of the good defensive coordinator candidates were gone. I think that if I were to dissect this decision and were to guess why this was made, they went and got a guy in Colt Necky from Kansas, and he's purely a play caller to be their offensive coordinator. And I think because they're going with a younger, slightly more inexperienced coach that is an up-and-comer, they didn't want to do the same thing at defensive coordinator. There are probably plenty of G5 programs that they could have gone and grabbed a top high-quality DC, but they chose not to. And they probably wanted that level of experience. They needed that balance in their coaching staff, because if the most experienced guy in the room is James Franklin and you don't have that type of head coaching experience, which they clearly valued with Manny Diaz the time that they hired him, that's probably why they went in that direction, that they wanted to have some sort of experience on that coaching staff.
Yeah, I agree with everything you just said. I just think that there's no way that you get back to where you were. And
No.
to be honest with you, look, it's very difficult when you're replacing one coordinator. Joe, they're replacing two, right? Like it's difficult when you're replacing two dudes. Now, James has been there a long time, okay? And they've recruited fine. They've developed fine. They've scouted fine. But I think you're about to see like a team in Ole Miss where they're going to get exposed. Like I think that they're going to play Ole Miss in a couple of weeks or 2 weeks, and they're going to get exposed, right? So it is what it is. I want to root for Penn State. I want to root for James Franklin. Like I grew up. You're a big college football fan, Joe. So am I. There's a reason why you and I spend so much freaking time talking nothing but college football, literally all year long. Like we could talk about just college sports in general. We talk about college football. I've always grown up like Penn State is a blue blood, great program. But how long are you going to be stagnant? Okay. I don't like this. It doesn't feel Penn State to me.
I think you hit the nail on the head there for the final thought on this is they have yet to return. And I look, I know it sounds kind of strange and ironic for me saying this about another program, me being a Notre Dame fan, but they kind of do fall into that bucket of always being really good, but can't get over that hurdle to being truthfully and truly in that national championship conversation. And I think a move like this, hiring Tom Allen when you could have gone and gotten a guy like Jim Leonard, who was a head coach for a period of time as an interim and is one of the best defensive coordinators in college football at the time that he was running that Wisconsin defense, to not make that move, it's crazy. I mean, I'm blanking on his damn name, the Broyles Award winner this year. How hard is it to coerce Phil Parker away from Iowa?
Phil Parker's not leaving Iowa. I have a very, 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 very close dude in Iowa of all freaking places.
He would never leave.
I'm not going to say ever.
Well, I'm sure Ferentz is going to retire before he's ready to hang it up.
I don't know. What I would tell you is it's going. If you think, Joe, do you really think that Phil Parker has not been trying to be plucked away from Iowa?
Oh,
he's got the most cush job in the country. I mean, the truth is he's taking random ass white dudes and winning football games.
Well, I would argue that Penn
State. You know what's sad? Okay, that's why nobody really believes in the Big Ten. Okay, like I'm just being real, Joe. There's not an offense in the Big Ten this year that's worth a damn. Not one. Like people say, oh well, we're good. Michigan's
got a really good run game though. Like I mean, you can't say that it's bad. It's still yes, they do. Come on.
No, they don't, because you know what's going to happen. And it kills me as I'm wearing my LSU home field apparel shirt where people go and they put in the promo code Ruffino Joe. They get 15% off. Okay. No shameless plug there. Watch what happens when they play Bama.
I think you're going to be rudely awoken. All I was going to say though is that
Game of Thrones.
I don't. You ask me that once a week, and I don't.
The Night King's coming. His name's Nick Saban, and his target's Michigan. Good luck.
Look, Phil Parker going to Penn State, though, I would argue would be a desirable move for him to be a defensive coordinator still in the Big Ten. I don't know. It sucks. It sucks that they didn't try to go and grab somebody that was. BetOnline remains your top spot for all of your live betting action and contests. NFL, college football, UFC, NHL are all in full swing. BetOnline is your number one source for wagering news, odds, trends, and predictions with both desktop and mobile access at any time. Head to BetOnline today and use promo code BELIEVE, that's BLEAV, for 50% off your first deposit. That is a 50% welcome bonus. BetOnline, where the game starts.